Okay, starting now. Starting right now, we'll do the show. That's how we'll do it today. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Farzy Show presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Coming to you from the Steven Sager Studios. My name is Marc Farzetta, and my apologies to our live audience at 6 a.m. Here it is now. It's 6:15 in the morning, and I'm doing just starting the show. The cameras decided didn't want to work in the old classic reboot. Thanks to PJ. Thanks to producer Jim. Why don't you give it one of them reboots there, Marc? And I'm like, it's a brilliant mind you have there. And sure enough, the camera worked immediately following. So here we are. Because God forbid, for the people that watch the show on YouTube, not just listen on the podcast, you got to see this smiling face in the morning, especially after a night like last night. The Nets look like they want to blow it up, which is just beautiful. The Phillies win a baseball game, and the 76ers do what I wanted them to do, which was not draft a player at 23 that would be on their roster in the upcoming season. Instead, they trade the rights to that pick. Something that I just find so unbelievably stupid about the NBA is they have a press conference with the general manager who really didn't get an opportunity to talk about anything because he wasn't allowed to talk about anything, but yet he still has to hold a press conference. We'll hear from Darryl Morey, the Sixers president of basketball operations, at least about the vague description of what they were able to do last night and kind of what he was able to talk about. But it's a weird thing. But bottom line is, by getting in De'Anthony Melton, making that trade made the 76ers a better basketball team. They now have a combo guard who can obviously do what a combo guard does. He can play the shooting guard role. He can run the second unit off the bench. He is a very versatile player. He hustles on defense. He's got great athleticism, whether it's dunks he's throwing down in the playoffs or dunks he's attempting to throw down in the playoffs, like what happened this past playoff run as a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. Bottom line is the 76ers got better by adding this player. Not waiting to draft someone, not waiting to develop someone they drafted, but ultimately right now when they step on the court, they will be a better basketball team. And that's what I wanted them to do. I wanted to make the address. I wanted them to look at a problem they had, which was depth, and address it in this draft with somebody that was a proven commodity. And De'Anthony Melton is a proven commodity. I haven't seen anyone in the NBA circles raining on this deal, making it seem like it was some bad move where the Sixers should have gotten Ty Washington, our boy we were looking at yesterday that we were all hype and giddy about with Amy Fadul, the Kentucky product, good old Ty, but wasn't the case. The Sixers did not decide to draft and develop. They decided to draft and trade, which was the smart move going into last night. If there's anything I took away from the 15 minutes Darryl Morey was forced to sit there and address the media, it was the fact that Darryl Morey went into the last night with the idea that he had to get this team better in some capacity. There's a lot of reports that were out there about trading Matisse Thybulle. There were a lot of reports out there about packaging him with the 23rd pick. There were some that were just flat out trading Matisse Thybulle just for anything. And that, of course, did not happen. Instead, Danny Green was the one that was matched up with that 23rd overall pick and shipped out. So that's the guy that will not be here. His name was one of the names that had been brought up in this deal. So we'll see how this plays out in the future for Danny Green. I wish him nothing but a speedy recovery. But I absolutely love what the Sixers did last night. It's exactly what I wanted them to do. There's no time when you have Joel Embiid. There's no time when you have James Harden right now. There's no time to wait for these guys to develop. And the odds of getting two guys in a 3-year span that develop, or I should say a second guy that develops as quickly as Tyrese Maxey did, I will just put those odds at highly unlikely next to impossible. As close to impossible as you could get while still being in the unlikely field. That's what I'll go ahead and term that. So right now the Sixers, I think they did the right thing last night. I know they did the right thing. I'll put it that way. And it's very rare that a team actually, watching the draft unfold, it's very rare that I actually see a team do exactly what I wanted them to do. So good for them and good for Darryl Morey. I honestly think it was the obvious choice to make. And I think most Sixers fans would agree with that. And like I said, I've seen many people come out already. Tim Bontemps of ESPN putting it out there. I think Jordan Schultz had it out there about what a good acquisition this was for the Sixers because it addressed one of their biggest needs, which was depth. We will hear from Darryl Morey in a little bit when we jump into the draft a little bit more, including the Woj bomb that came out before the draft last night. that got everybody a little bit of a tizzy. So we'll talk about that. The Phillies came up with a huge win yesterday to snap their 3-game losing streak, to halt their losing streak at 3 games. Nick Castellanos came up with a big hit in the game. Bryce Harper came up with what should have been a couple of hits in that game. Didi Gregorius helped the scoring open up. That fella, Kyle Schwarber, helped the scoring last night. It's a weird game, this game of baseball. And Rob Thompson said one of my favorite quotes in all of baseball, which is, it's baseball. It's like, anytime somebody just acknowledges the sport they play and act like that's supposed to be giving you some insight, and it actually does, I find it funny. And that's what Rob Thompson said after last night's game. There's no reason the Phillies playing the way they were playing going into last night's ball game, after losing 3 in a row, after losing back-to-back games in Texas, getting swept in that 2-game series, they go up against Joe Musgrove last night, who was 8-0 going into that game, hadn't started a game in his previous 12 starts and allowed more than 2 earned runs going into the game. And the Phillies stomp him for 6 earned runs. 6! Including a couple of bombs from JT Realmuto and Kyle Schwarber. It doesn't have to make sense. And why it doesn't have to make sense? Well, because that's baseball, folks. We'll hear from Rob Thompson after last night's game. That was a joy. It was a lot of fun going back and forth from the baseball game to the draft. And as I'm watching the Phillies play last night, and they started at 9:40 with Ranger Suarez. Speaking of things not making sense, Ranger Suarez pitches into the 8th inning. What? Tyvita, I was thinking of you. I was thinking of you last night watching that game. But I'm flipping back and forth, and I'm realizing, why am I even watching the draft? And all the picks are coming out from Sham Charania, and Woj. Why am I even watching the draft? It offers no information. And Woj reports the Sixers make their trade, yet the commissioner can't announce anything until 20 minutes after the fact. Because he made, I believe, 2 picks after the Sixers pick. So the Sixers pick, which we knew, another pick, and then I think he made the announcement. Like, what world do we live in where the reporters know everything before the commissioner? And I'm fine with it. Whatever gets us the information first. But then the NBA that has to go on and act like nothing happened, and Darryl Morey has to address the media and be like, I don't know what I can tell you, but there you go. But anyway, back to the Phillies. Ranger Suarez pitched into the 8th inning, and that was great as I was going back and forth from the draft and the Phillies game, and to see some guys that were slumping actually break out of it, that was good. Now, Nick Castellanos, this will be my question later in the day. Now, to the people that said the Sixers were going to keep their draft pick after last night's draft on the Versus Game app, congratulations. Sorry, you lost. To the people that said they would trade that pick, congratulations, you won. The question I'm going to post later today is, will Nick Castellanos go an entire month without hitting a home run? Now, maybe last night was him starting to get off the old schneid, right? Maybe last night was the start of that. But as I pointed out yesterday, he hasn't hit a home run in the month of June. Now, I'm going to go ahead and give you that date right now as to when the month will be up in terms of where they'll be, who they'll be playing. They have 6 games left in the month of June. Will Nick Castellanos go the entire month of June without hitting a home run? Now, I'm rolling the dice here because at any moment, he can hit that home run. At any moment. But I'm confident he won't. So they got 3 more left against San Diego, and they got 3 against Atlanta at home. How will that fare? How will that shape up? That's what I will ask later on the Versus Game app, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that after the show. Also, a little bit later in the day, we're going to catch up with Thiago Scabada, a Sixers writer, get his reaction to the 76ers draft, I'll just say draft day transactions, and what they could be doing going forward. Now, I want to start off with the spicy meatball after that little recap. I want to start off with the spicy meatball that started today, last night off. Adrian Wojnarowski, according to ESPN sources, if Kyrie Irving can't reach an agreement to stay with the Brooklyn Nets, he has a list of teams he'd like to consider on sign and trades, including the Lakers, the Clippers, the Knicks, the Heat, the Mavs, and 76ers. None of those teams have cap space to sign up without the Nets' help. Cool. But the 76 now, let me just say this. I am not in a, oh my God, you got to get Kyrie Irving. I'm not in that mode. I think it's going to cost too much for a player that is just bottom line not reliable. He's he's a hell of a basketball player. Respect the hell out of his game. But overall, I feel like we just got done dealing with the Ben Simmons situation that we don't really need, and I don't feel like we need to deal with the Kyrie Irving situation immediately after that. So I am in no way, shape, or form banging the drum for Kyrie Irving to come here to Philadelphia. There is a part of me that makes me really want to see Kyrie Irving playing in Boston as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers. There is something about that just that I want to see that on my television. I want to be in Boston sitting in the stands as that's unfolding, and I want to watch all the chaos going on around me. Because, like, the Nets, oh, yeah, sure, the Celtics took care of business against the Nets this past playoff season and all that stuff. But there's no rivalry like it is with the 76ers. I mean, the Boston Celtics, they might not even call it a rivalry at this point because they've had the Sixers number so much over their most recent playoff encounters. But there's a part of me that really wants to see Kyrie in a Sixers jersey goading some Celtics fans. Or I should say the Celtics fans are goading him. But there's a part of me that really wants to see that. Now, the other part of this that is also interesting is that if Kyrie goes with any of those teams, the LA teams, for instance, the Mavericks, maybe whoever it might be, there is another part of this that is also makes this very interesting in that Kevin Durant could then become available. There's many layers we're going to walk through right here. The first is just Kyrie out of Brooklyn. So if that happens and he goes elsewhere, then Kevin Durant, who according to Adrian Wojnarowski has not said, well, if he's gone, I'm gone. That hasn't been the case just yet. But anytime Kevin Durant says he is monitoring the situation and he wants to know exactly what's going to come together, that makes you think, well, by golly, he could want out of there. So if that's the case, Kevin Durant in Philadelphia? Is Kevin Durant going to be one of the teams in Philadelphia? Or is Philadelphia going to be one of the teams that Kevin Durant would want to go to? Well, let's face it. He likes Joel Embiid. I know a lot of people think they have a rift between each other, but they have both talked about how much they love and respect one another. And regardless of what happens on the court, that's just them playing games and, trying to get the one-upsmanship and all that stuff. It's gamesmanship as well. It's all that. I don't think there's any bad blood between those two guys. And I think they would love the opportunity to play together. I would love to see Kevin Durant here in Philadelphia. Now, let's say this. The Sixers, who our friend Paul Hudrick explained yesterday, Darryl Morey and the Sixers front office termed Tyrese Maxey as virtually untouchable. And that got picked up by many national media outlets. And some people took some issues with Paul saying, what do you mean virtually? He is untouchable. First off, no one in sports should ever be untouchable. No one. Ever. No. When you look at a guy like Kevin Durant, that's a guy that some people would be like, oh, okay, I'll give up Tyrese Maxey for it. And hell yeah, I'd give up Tyrese Maxey for it. And I love Tyrese Maxey. But if Kevin Durant's able to come to your city and team him up with Joel Embiid right now, yeah, I kind of like that. I like it a lot. I love Tyrese Maxey. I wouldn't want to see him go. But if you're bringing Kevin Durant, if you're bringing KD, that's hard to pass up. So there's no way, shape, or form I would ever see anything. And all this is highly unlikely. Let me get this out of the way. This isn't on the verge of happening. I'm just walking through the steps here. This is tier 2 of the Kyrie Irving fallout. The tier 1 is him just saying, yeah, I'm probably going to opt out at the end of the month. Then after that, the fallout is Kevin Durant could be on the move. Now let's talk about tier 3 of all this. Imagine Ben Simmons reports to camp. He goes through training camp. He goes through the preseason. And after supposedly being teamed up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, those guys are gone. And the only thing left in Brooklyn, the only thing they're waiting for Ben Simmons is a big old bag of karma. How amazing would that be? Would Ben Simmons have to shoot if there's no one else on the team? Like, he wouldn't just dribble around, right? Like that's not going to happen. He's not just going to pass to no one and the ball goes out of bounds and he goes plays defense really hard and then he comes back the other way and just goes to the rim. Will he even go to the rim because then you have to go to the foul line? What happens to Ben Simmons if he's in Brooklyn and there's nobody else that there's nobody else that's going to shoot? What if he's the only one on offense? Now, part of me, I want to see that. But Ben Simmons without Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons without Kyrie Irving, wow, that would be basketball purgatory beyond anything we've really seen here in Philadelphia. And he'd get to hang out in Brooklyn. He'd get to be the far second team in New York City. Yeah, I think he would like that. But I also know that I would enjoy knowing that he's not going to be able to compete for a championship. That is, I know he kind of wants that because he could just kind of hide then and he doesn't have to be in the limelight. But just knowing that the Brooklyn Nets wouldn't come at anything close to the dynasty that they were supposed to make when Kevin Durant went there and Kyrie and James Harden and all that. So that makes me feel really good about life, to be honest with you. Excuse me, little allergy thing going on this morning. Yeah. Good morning. Sorry about that. I had PJ in the monitor going, yep, me too, buddy. Anyway, let's imagine that fallout that could happen with Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Oh, it's music to my ears. Oh, and a team that the Sixers play often, they wouldn't have to worry about as much too. So that's another thing. Many levels of positivity on this fine morning, folks. Many levels of positivity. Let's get to it. Anthony Melton is your newest 76er, though not officially official yet, for the record. For those that aren't that familiar with what De'Anthony Melton can bring to the table here in Philadelphia, he averaged 10 points per game last year. He helped the Memphis Grizzlies off the bench. Started, I believe, 15 games. But he's 6'2". He's a former second-round pick from 4 years ago by Darryl Morey, as a matter of fact, as a member of the Houston Rockets. So Darryl Morey knows him well as far as his background goes, knows what he can bring to the table. And bottom line is, let's face it, Darryl Morey didn't need to do a lot of homework to realize the Sixers needed somebody solid off the bench. And now that's exactly what they got, somebody solid off the bench. This is an odd press conference. I hesitated to play anything because he wasn't really able to say anything. But here's Darryl Morey last night on this is just his opening remarks in the press conference following the first round of the NBA draft.
All right, yeah, so we feel like we got better. It's a very Dave Schiller's putting me on with the media when I can't talk about anything, so this is great.
So how did you get better?
Thank you for saving me. That doesn't save me. Yeah, we're excited about possibility of some trades coming. We're thinking we might be able to pick up some rotation piece. Why does the NBA do this to us?
Hey, have a press conference, but you can't really talk about anything. This is just stupid. I just want to acknowledge a stupid thing, and it doesn't affect the world. It's just dumb. Everyone knows they made the trade. They knew the trade. They made the trade before the pick was even announced. Yet the Sixers technically have to make that pick. I think, Dan, you even pointed out earlier in the week, they technically have to make the pick, but they can trade the rights and all that stuff. It's just stupid. The way they do this is stupid. Let's just acknowledge something that's stupid for a second and call BS on something that needs to be called BS. This is dumb. NBA, figure it out. This is just stupid. The GM should be able to talk about a player they just traded for, and everyone knows they just traded for. Well, you're piping Woj and Sham with all this information, yet it's like, oh, but it didn't really happen. Sure, tons of fun. It happened, okay? So anyway, let me get that out of the way. I just hate stupidity. Darryl Morey continues on really what the overall objective was going into last night and accomplishing that objective.
We're thinking we might be able to pick up some rotation piece. Why does the NBA do this to us? So I do want to thank our staff who worked 1 billion hours on draft picks that may not be here in the future. Sorry, I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
Going into tonight,
all right, sweet.
Going into
thank
tonight, you obviously had things that you were looking for to make your team better.
Yes.
What sorts of things were you looking for to make your team better?
Thank you. We're trying to win now. We're looking for players who can contribute. And, we were the number one defense 2 years ago. We were good last year. We want to make sure we improve that. So if we could get a perimeter defender, maybe for draft pick, we'd feel very good about that. I think someone like that is something that could really contribute and be a two-way player. Someone like that would be a really nice addition.
Somebody like De'Anthony Melton, yeah, and also getting another perimeter defender as well. I believe thoroughly that the 76ers got vastly improved from a bench standpoint, and that was one of the number one things we were complaining about last year. When they got James Harden in the rotation last year, when they got him as a starter, obviously, I liked how at that point Doc Rivers actually started splitting minutes, staggering minutes with Harden and with Embiid, and then he would start the game with him, make sure he end the game with him as you're supposed to do as a coach, and I thought he did a good job actually handling that. But now, when they have to go to more of those every once in a while bench lineups, God forbid, at least they have somebody that I think is coming in here much better suited than what they had in years past, like a Shake Milton, for instance, or God forbid a George Hill, for instance, that could run that second unit, and that's a very important thing. The other thing is mindset. You could go and look up stats. You could go and look up his baseball or basketball reference and all that stuff. But Melton's a guy who plays hard-nosed basketball. Like, he's giving you 100% on both ends of the court. As a guy that only, like I said, started 15 games last year and logged about 21, 22 minutes per game, he got you almost 4.5 rebounds, 5 rebounds a game as a 6'2" point guard, 6'2" shooting guard. That's pretty damn good. That shows me he's getting under the basket. That shows me that he's not afraid to mix it up a little bit. No, those aren't all long rebounds he's pulling down. So that's somebody that the Sixers needed as well. Somebody that's going to be a hustler. For a guard position on a basketball team, just in general, when you're talking about what James Harden's able to do as a guy that will rebound about 8 rebounds per game, and a guy like Melton, for instance, these guards are going to get after it, which is good for a team that has struggled mightily in the rebound category over the last year, especially after they traded Andre Drummond. So for me, I think that's a nice little side thing just to show you what kind of attitude this guy has. And reading people down in Memphis that have talked about him, people that have watched a hell of a lot more of him than I have, they have all said the same thing. Hard-nosed basketball player, more on the spectrum of a guy like a PJ Tucker, certainly, than a Matisse Thybulle is, in terms of a guy that will play with that edge. Like, I think Matisse Thybulle is one hell of a defender, don't get me wrong, second all defensive team, that's great. But when it comes to that kind of dog that other teams are fearing, this is more of that category. So I love that, and I love the fact that the Sixers are going to have that coming off the bench in De'Anthony Melton. Now, the other thing, we'll see how everything else plays out. I don't think Kyrie Irving's ending up on the Sixers. I don't think Kevin Durant's ending up on the Sixers. But here's what I'm most confident in the 3 scenarios I laid out regarding Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. I am most confident, I should say a lot more confident, in Ben Simmons only playing with that big old bag of karma that I mentioned than I am Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant being on the Sixers. I don't think either of them are going to be on the Nets next year. I think they're going to be on the move. Now, the interesting thing for people that are going to be monitoring this with Kevin Durant, Woj also said last night that with Kevin Durant's deal, it's not like he's got that opt-out at the end of this year. It's not like he is going to be moving on to a new contract anytime soon. If he gets traded, he's got 4 years left on his contract. So any team that is going to be trading for Kevin Durant isn't going to get the, I'll call it the force out discount, where, I want to get me out of here, I don't want to be here, sign and trade me, whatever it might be. That's not happening. He doesn't have a lot of leverage in this situation. It's not like the Nets after Kevin Durant then looking at him going, yeah, I think I'm going to quit on this because everyone else has and I don't want to be here. I don't think the Nets are going to be like, oh, let me go do you a favor. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to take top dollar for him. The Nets, in the very rare situation that the NBA teams find themselves in now, where they actually have the upper hand over the player, they have the upper hand. This isn't that sign and trade territory. What did Woj call it? the trans or the portal, the portal to another team. Yeah, Kevin Durant doesn't have that right now, which is really interesting when you talk about one of the stars of the NBA right now, the big time stars of the NBA. So that's another thing. If the Sixers were even considering it, it's going to be an overhaul of the roster, and you're most likely going to be looking at Harden, Embiid, and Durant. That's pretty good big three. Well, I don't know if I want to go with Harden on any part of a big three, but you're pretty much going to be looking at KD and Embiid, which I think would be entertaining for when they're on the court. When they're not on the court and you completely deplete the rest of the roster, yeah, that'll be an issue. It's not going to be the Sixers. I'd be very much surprised. Even though Kevin Durant, let's face it, probably wants to be as close to his Philadelphia Union as possible. He's probably down there in Chester watching film, breaking it down, trying to help the team win. Anyway, like I said, we're going to have a little bit more basketball coverage a little bit later in the day when we talk to Tiago Scabada of thepaintedlines.com. If you remember, Tiago joined us a couple of months ago when he took Doc Rivers up on his challenge of, I did a terrific job. If you don't think that right about it. Tiago's like, nah, all right, my turn. I'll take a swing. Hey, give me a crack at it. And that's what he did. Took a crack at it, and it was a great article. Anyway, Tiago Scabada will join us a little bit later in the day, and we'll do a nice little live taping with him on our YouTube channel as well. Let's talk about those Philadelphia Phillies. Again, stamp of approval for the 76ers. This is exactly what Darryl Morey needed to do. Can't say it enough. I'll shout it for the mountaintops. Before we talk Phillies, let me just get into this, just split this up a little bit here. The Farzy Show is presented by Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. And my man Mike Seibert, who is a retirement income certified professional at Destination Retirement LLC and a partner of 1847 Financial and an advisor for Eagles, Sixers, and Phillies fans, and maybe next year with John Tortorella, the Philadelphia Flyers. When it comes to long-term savings, why are you giving up the current enjoyment of your income? The answer is to have income streams in retirement. Mike Seibert will show you how to do this when he sets you up with a portal, another portal, in Retirement Analyzer, and use the software to help you navigate through the different phases of your financial life. Now, what are the phases? Well, one is your distribution phase, but what comes before that? Your accumulation phase. Think of it like climbing a mountain. When you go up the mountain, is the objective just get to the top? No, the objective is to get to the top and then back down safely. Going up is your accumulation phase. Going down is your distribution phase. Mike will explain all this to you and walk you through everything. If you have questions, if you want to set up a meeting with Mike, you can contact him at GoBirds at 1847financial.com. That's GoBirds at 1847financial.com, or call his office at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035. You can also visit his website at destinationretirement.com. And as always, go Birds, ladies and gentlemen. How about Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row? Do what I do when it comes to all your big jewelry purchases. Trust my man, Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Not only are you going to get great quality, not only are you going to get fast and free shipping at IHateStevenSinger.com, but you're going to get the perfect price every single day. That's what Steven guarantees you, the perfect price guarantee. So when you walk in, you don't got to be worried about negotiating or haggling, whatever that might be, the pressure of that. You walk in, know that other jewelers, they're going to mark things way up just to mark it down a couple of bucks. But you got to work for that. At Steven, it's already down there. It's already marked down. You're good to go. That's why I said my friends and my family to Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut. Ready for Love diamond engagement ring standing by at the ready, wonderfully priced as well. So if you're looking to pop the question for that special someone in your life, look no further than Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. One place, one price, the perfect price every single day. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into that Philadelphia Phillies conversation. In case you missed the game last night because it was a late one, just a brief recap. I'll start it off with this. What the hell, Rhys Hoskins? Yeah, again. 2 days in a row, first inning. Yeah. Stupid play. If you remember, 2 days ago, Texas Rangers, he can't field a ground ball that would have been at least a 3-6-3 double play, I believe is what it would have been. He said he couldn't field it. Runners end up scoring, and the Phillies lose again. Last night, Rhys Hoskins standing on first base with one out. Bryce Harper steps to the plate. Bryce Harper hits a little, I'll call it a humpback liner in the right field, just over the outstretched arm of the Padres second baseman. Hoskins freezes, and that's okay. Because like I said, it was a humpback liner that looked like it could have been caught by the second baseman, so Hoskins doesn't want to get doubled up. But after he sees the ball go past the second baseman, does he quickly proceed to second base? No. Why would he do that? That's the logical thing. Instead, Rhys Hoskins freezes, watches the ball go over to second baseman, retreats back to first base, takes a step back to first base, then goes, go, and then starts running to second. Meanwhile, has to get all his momentum going up in that direction again to where he is then thrown out. Bryce Harper himself, and I don't blame him for this, after he is safe at first base, he's standing there watching the show, the Rhys Hoskins show of dumbfoundedness, and he is just looking at him like, dude, bro, seriously? What the hell was that? And Hoskins then is trotting back off the field because he's out. Now there's runner on first with one out. Runner on first with 2 outs as opposed to runners on first and second with 1 out. And Hoskins, I don't know if he was looking towards Bryce Harper. It looked like he was looking in that direction. Maybe he was looking at the first base. I don't know. But I'll say this much. Harper wasn't too pleased with his buddy Rhys Hoskins on that play. And I'm thinking, great, watch this come back to bite the Phillies in the arse. And sure enough, it did not, which is good because the Phillies did some raking of their own. Hosmer put the Padres up 1-0 in the second inning on a home run, solo home run off Suarez in the Suarez down the right field line. Looked like a foul ball, but apparently not. So there you go. And then third inning is when the Phillies started to make some things happen here a little bit. Castellanos, I'm excited about his hit yesterday. That's great. But I'm even more excited with how he played a ball in the third inning off, I think it was Alcantara who hit the ball. He actually slammed into the right field wall. He tracked the ball perfectly, got back on it, had a good jump on it, caught the ball, slammed into the wall, and maintained possession of it. So that was a nice little defensive play from Nick Castellanos yesterday, and we don't get to see that too much. Suarez kept pitching his way out of trouble, did so in the fourth inning, had a bases-loaded situation. He got out of that. Then in the fifth inning, my man pots and pans, Didi Gregorius steps to the plate. He breaks up a no-hitter. So this is my first thought, and T-Mac actually addressed this story in the game. T-Mac goes, that's the first hit off Musgrove. And I'm like, well, what about Harper? Wasn't that a hit? And I forgot this rule. Because there was a put out at second base, because Hoskins was thrown out at second base, it then goes in the books as a ground result. It then goes in the books as a fielder's choice. So Harper's hit was taken away because of Hoskins' dumb play. It's baseball, babe. It's baseball. Doesn't have to make sense. It's baseball. So Harper doesn't get credit for that hit. So not only did Hoskins take away the runners on first and second with 1 out opportunity, he also took a hit away from Bryce Harper. Fifth inning, Didi steps to the plate, breaks up the no-hitter, and gets I believe it was an RBI single. Maybe it was a double. Herrera got the RBI single in that inning. Then in the sixth inning, Bryson Stott doubled. Kyle Schwarber hit a 2-run home run, his 20th of the season. It's 3-1 Phillies. Harper, Castellanos follow with singles, and then this was the beauty. JT Realmuto steps to the plate with a 3-run home run, pretty much blew it up after that. And then Suarez got the shutout inning, the shutdown inning, I should say, in the sixth inning. He pitched into the eighth inning, and as I said to start the show, Musgrove hadn't allowed more than 2 earned runs in his previous 12 starts on the season, and then shellacked. He got shellacked by the Phillies last night for 6 runs, at least by his own standard. So there you go. That's what the Phillies had in store. Another 9:40 start time tonight for the Phillies with Schwarber and Realmuto going off their home runs from just last night. I just wanted to make sure I got that right for you guys. Herrera had the RBI single in the 5th inning that tied the game at 1. Then in the 6th inning, Schwarber and Realmuto hit those bombs. So that was nice for the Phillies, and they got the win last night. Now, after the game, as I've teased before, I'll get to this right now. Rob Thompson was addressing the media, and he just talked about how guys like Castellanos and Didi were breaking out of slumps last night. Even Ranger Suarez, who had his struggles in recent times.
Castellanos was like 0 for 19.
Yeah.
He got a hit.
Yeah.
All of it kind of snowballed in that middle frame.
And that's baseball. It happens, you know. You go through stretches where you don't score, and you go through stretches where you score a lot. And it's nice to be consistent and get the 4 or 5 every night, but sometimes that's the way it goes.
How big was it to see what Ranger did tonight?
It was great.
how long you went, and also the command was a lot.
It was great. I think it's his longest start of the year, and control command was really good. And so you can see when he throws strikes with his fastball and he can pinpoint his fastball, the other stuff just plays out. And that's what he did tonight. He got a lot of weak contact. He gave up a couple of hard hit balls, but a lot of weak contact, and he controlled the strike zone, so it was good.
Getting out of that fifth inning for Ranger Suarez, I thought, fourth inning was huge for him, absolutely huge for him with the bases loaded in that situation. So I thought that was a longest start. I think you just heard him say so. Longest start of the year for Ranger Suarez. Nice to see that. That was our post-game report brought to you by Rothman Orthopedics. How about that? Rothman Orthopedics. When you have an orthopedic issue, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Versus game, people. Go to the Google Play Store. Go to the App Store. Download for yourself the Versus Game app and have yourself a good time. Right now, the Farzy Show is on there. Make sure you follow the Farzy Show and you answer all our questions. They're all binary. Yes or no, this or that, always one or the other. For those that don't understand binary, allow me to mansplain it. But that's what we got going on right now. A question I'm going to have up a little bit later today. Will Nick Castellanos go an entire month without hitting a home run? It's quite possible. Quite possible. That's the question we'll put up there. Make sure you follow Farzy Show on the Versus Game app. How about Freestone Farm CBD? FreestoneFarmCBD.com. New partner of the Farzy Show. Freestone Farm CBD, the best CBD brand because they farm it all themselves with all organic inputs. Is this organic? It is. All right. The best CBD brand. They farm it themselves. They offer some education along the way. Like, check out FreestoneFarmCBD.com and all the great stuff they have on their menu right now. Like their tropical tasting Bayox that clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1% and a super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. The genetics of these guys, off the charts. They all grow their premium hemp flower in the Garden State as well, with all organic inputs and IPM. There's absolutely nothing synthetic from farm to jar. And after harvest, they carefully preserve all the plant compounds with a perfect 3-month cure. Just one look or smell is enough to know it's CBD done right, and that this is a product great for anyone looking to take a more natural approach to everything that they put in their body. And how about this? 20% off. 20% off when you use promo code Farzy. That's right, 20% off when you use promo code Farzy at FreestoneFarmCBD.com. 20% off. Enjoy. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Let's jump into our chat check, ladies and gentlemen. See how all you guys are doing today. Seems like a just smoking hot chat check right now. So excited to see Real Muto have a decent game. Hopefully he'll get the yips out. Let's hope so. I think I gave you the numbers yesterday. Did I give you the numbers on JT? Hitting 224 in June with a 303 on base percentage. Yeah, nice to see him get a big hit last night. Jim Grassmeter, what's up, buddy? Leonard, what's up, Leonard? John, how are you? Seals keep pushing buttons again. Nah, it was the weirdest thing. I go to sign on, and it's like, nope, no camera. And folks, I don't want to say that this is the plunging neckline shirt that I usually wear because it's not. It's one of my it's from my blue collection. Yeah, Jim's giving me the kind of, men's, a little bit. I like that. Okay, ready for this? All right, for the people on the podcast. We're about to have some nudity on the show. Some nudity. All right, so just, here's all you need to know. I have the body of a Greek god. Okay? That's it. A Roman Adonis, if you will. All right. Here we go, folks. Little chat. See, I want you guys to see what's going on here. See that V? That's the exact outline of my golf shirt from the Michael Barkan and Friends, Michael Barkan Family Foundation golf outing. I didn't have that before. And now look at it. Look, and it touches it, and it turns white, and then I let my finger. Look at that. Oh, wow. Look at that. It's like, I remember my brother and I had a G.I. Joe that would change color in the sun. Yeah, that's what I look like right now. All right. So you guys, okay, for the people on the podcast, you guys, just the people watching, just saw heavy cleavage. All right. That's my own cleavage. But for the people on the podcast, just know it was heavy cleavage with a perfect V-shaped sunburn at the base of my neck. From where my Adam's apple, my very manly Adam's apple, plunges down into the cleavage area, red sunburn. And this shirt is kind of showing that off a little bit today, folks. All right. So the Farzy show today, NC-17. Okay. NC-17. I'm not going to say it, but later on when I get to the bottom of the chat, I'm going to ask you people right now. Let me make sure I'm live on my monitor. I am. I'm going to ask you right now. When I say NC-17, what's the first movie that comes to mind? When I say NC-17, what's the first movie that comes to mind? Come on, people. Come on, later millennials. Let me know. All right. Leonard, that's where I was. How you doing? Wow. Okay. Fizzed my camera. Oh, wow. I'm an idiot. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Marc, don't spill the espresso. I would never. It's happened. It's happened. Farzy got the AM PM rung on his alarm clock. Turning it off and always. Yeah, April, you know, the reboot. The reboot always. Mickey Diaz, you're an excellent prognosticator, Marc. Well done. Well, my sources are common sense. And every once in a while, a general manager will follow his damn common sense. I mean, just look to the guy with the cleavage. That's what I try to say. No matter what analytics you look at, you look to the guy with the cleavage in the room, he'll have the answer. You're welcome. Kevin, what's going on? Good morning. Dan Schwartz, sorry, guys, I'm just going to miss the green room. Oh, I'm sure he'll still do it, just maybe not on NBC Sports Philadelphia. John Cheesebro, hello again. Really missed the green room. Nice win for the Phillies, still outside the playoffs. Yes, they are still outside the playoffs. Good morning, Ty Vita. Good morning once again, Sean. Dan Schwartz, Kyrie, sorry, don't want him. I get it. I don't really want him either. But I'm intrigued. Let's put it this way. If Kyrie comes to the Sixers on some discount, oh, I'm in, man. I'm in. I just don't want to give up a lot for him because I don't think you're going to get a lot in return. Oh, no, you probably will get a lot in return. But no, you're going to get a guy who can be a bit of a head case. But at least he wants to play basketball. At least I think he does. Hard pass on Kyrie, says April. Tyvita, Kyrie and James don't get along. We know James is coming back. So, yeah, I agree. Is Ben Simmons... April, if Ben Simmons shoots and no one's around, does anyone see it? No. Mickey Diaz, laugh out loud, poor Simmons. Mickey Diaz, Simmons face on an early retirement. Man, you got to have a pair of brass ones to be Ben Simmons, get back surgery, miss all year. We all know the whole night. And then go fishing. Deep sea fishing. Eric, what's up, Eric? Ben would get what he wants, his own team. Eric, that's interesting because if he has his own team, then that means he's the center of that team. And I don't know if he wants that. Like, I don't know if he wants all the attention. I think one of the things that appealed to him about possibly going to Brooklyn was that Kevin Durant and Kyrie were there to take responsibility. If he's the guy, I did have this idea, and Eric, you kind of you reminded me of it. Last night I was thinking about it, like when all the Kyrie stuff hit, and then all the Kevin Durant stuff. Well, it wasn't all the Kevin Durant stuff, but just the idea of him moving on if Kyrie moved on. And what hit me was, if Ben Simmons comes out next year and doesn't shoot, and it's the same stuff we've always seen, if you're his new head coach, let's just say you're Steve Nash, for instance, and he's still not doing it, do you then, and you don't have Kevin Durant, and you don't have Kyrie, and it's just Ben Simmons, do you then instruct everyone on the team to not shoot? Like, to try to make a point, to try to drive it home? are you actually going to do something like draw up plays for Ben and be like, Ben, this is your ball. You got to shoot it. This is your spot to shoot it. And if he does it and he passes it off, pass it right back to him. One of my favorite things I ever heard from Sonny Hill was when people were criticizing Allen Iverson or like Allen Iverson's ball hog, whatever. And Allen Iverson told Sonny Hill, and Sonny then told me this story. He's like, I was talking to AI about it, and AI said, Sonny, I pass them the ball, and they always pass it right back. Like, what's he supposed to do in that situation? Well, if the opposite here, if Ben Simmons is passing the ball and not getting the ball back, so the other team then, or your teammates then have to demand that he shoots. I think it's the only way it actually happens. Not that I really give a damn, but I just want to see the spectacle that it'll be. I really want to see that. Mark, all that sounds wonderful, but would KD want to reunite with James Harden? I think it would reunite with James Harden before he reunite or stays with Kyrie Irving. Put it that way. Dan, yo, Mark, watch the shirt with those sneezes. Sheesh. Eh? NC-17. What movie comes to mind first when I say NC-17? Melton is already the best player on the bench, Jim. I agree. Morey definitely has pictures on some team owners to trade someone with a major injury. Yeah, it seems that way. Tyvita, no lie, I didn't realize how many people were on the bench because Doc never plays them. Ty. Tyvita, can I call you Ty? I'm not going to do that. Tyvita, I'm not going to do that. Jim Grassmeter, yikes, Tyvita, never thought about that. Sure, tons of fun. Really, Mark? Jamie Lynch told us that no fat shaming in 2020 is 2022, so that's even more emphasized. See, when I say tons of fun, I didn't even realize that was a fat joke. And that's why when I used it as in a broad sense. But tons of fun is just sure. It's just so much fun to say. He better not play Cork, Maz. That's great. 6'2" is kind of small. You're right. Jim, Farzy, what is this rebounding you speak of? I know, right? Draft definitely overshadowed the Phillies game. It definitely did. Sean Gillespie, you like that dope? Dope! I wasn't even that huge a Simpsons guy. But everyone knows dope. Anyway. Mally hitting it out of the park. Let's see if anybody else got it. Wait a minute. Okay, Mally, you got it. Showgirls was NC-17. That was the first NC-17 movie I remember. And I was like, wow, Jessie Spano's in a movie? She's a stripper? That doesn't sound like Jessie Spano. And then Elizabeth Berkley, if you remember, she played a lady of the night in the Al Pacino film, Jamie Foxx film, Any Given Sunday. Remember that? Elizabeth Berkley played she was a pretty lady at the bar, and then she's in a hotel room with Al Pacino, and they're talking, and I'm like, oh, Coach Al Pacino found a nice lady. And then he goes, who do I make the check out to? I think that was the line. Anyway. Yeah. But Mally, you crushed it. Showgirls, first movie I thought of. That was what made you fall in love with Elizabeth Berkley? Good Lord. Literally the next line, April. Good Lord, that movie was so bad. You guys are great. Tyvita, what is this? Chet Holmgren's legs are an image I can't get out of my mind. Yeah, he's tall and skinny. Oh, pots and pans. Pots and pans. You guys are great. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful as per usual. Let's move into our morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Phillies, Padres back at it tonight. 9:40 start time. Aaron Nola on the bump. Mackenzie Gore will get the start. He's a left-handed pitcher for the Padres. He is 4-3 on the season with a 3.64 ERA, a 1.33 WHIP. Wah, wah. Aaron Nola, by the way, 4-4, 3.11 ERA on the season. And over his last couple of starts, it's been pretty good. He's allowed 2 runs in his last 3 starts. Like I said, that's pretty good. He's got at least 7 innings in each of those starts. Hopefully he'll make it 4 starts in a row of putting a nice run together. He really has only had, in his last 5, that he got roughed up against the Giants, where he allowed 5 earned runs. So we'll see what happens tonight. But he has definitely been popping the mitt pretty damn well most recently for the Philadelphia Phillies, and hopefully he'll keep that going tonight. As I mentioned a little bit later today, about 11:15, we're going to do an interview with my man Tiago Scabata of Painted Lines. We're going to do about a 20-minute hit on the Sixers draft, the state of the team, what they got coming up next, possibly the status of Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant as well, what it means for Ben Simmons up there in Brooklyn, and what the next steps are for the 76ers right now, and just how untouchable is Tyrese Maxey, because I'd use the word Paul Hudrick used, which was virtually untouchable. That's the Farzy Show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend if you're not able to catch our 11:15 draft special. Jim Hyder produced the program, did a wonderful job. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody. But hopefully we'll see you and talk to you again at 11:15 this morning. Have a great day, everybody. Take it easy. Bye.